You saw the title, you know what this is. Astral Self Monk. It's the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Monk. Your big feature is Arms of the Astral Self, letting you drop a focus/key point as a bonus action to summon spectral arms. When you do, all creatures of your choice within 10 feet of you get bopped for 2 rolls of your martial arts die if they fail a dex save. Not bad. But then the arms stick around for 10 minutes, giving you some extra buffs. You can use your Wisdom modifier for attack and damage rolls for your unarmed strikes. You can use Wisdom for strength checks and strength saves, which includes grapple and shove checks in 2014. And when you attack on your turn, your reach is 5 foot greater than normal. This is awesome because you attack with your Wisdom, meaning you can prioritize it over dexterity, which also raises your monk save DC. That means more reliable stunning strikes, and stunning strikes are completely broken. The extra reach is also nice, letting you happy slap enemies and then retreat with impunity. At 6th level, you can drop an additional focus point when you summon your arms to get a spectral mask, which gives you dark vision that can see through magical darkness out to 120 feet. You also get advantage on insight and intimidation checks, and you can effectively telepathically communicate with any creature within 60 feet. These benefits last for 10 minutes. 11th level lets you use a reaction when you take one of these damage types to reduce it by 1d10 plus your Wisdom modifier. Honestly, this was never great, but with the new 2024 Monk's Deflect Energy feature, it's basically useless now. But you also get empowered arms at this level, giving one attack on your turn an extra roll of your martial arts die. That's an average of 5 to 6 extra damage per turn, not bad. Level 17, you get Awakened Astral Self. As a bonus action, you drop 5 focus points to gain all the previous benefits at once. Plus, your AC goes up by 2, plus you can make an extra attack every time you use Flurry of Blows. All in, the Astral Monk is great. It is fantastic in 2014 just for the ability to use Wisdom for your grapple and shove checks, making you the best monk at doing all that monkey stuff. In the 2024 rules, all monks can grapple and shove using their dexterity now, so it's less of a draw. But even if it is a little less special now, the extra reach and the ability to prioritize Wisdom early on to get a fantastic stunning strike DC is enough to sneak these guys into the A tier. Ascendant Dragon Monk. Although a lot of the problems with the 2024 Monk were patched out in the 2024 rules, which are free by the way, the core classes are in Creative Commons, one problem monks still have is AoE damage. Well, introducing the Ascendant Dragon Monk, or the Ass Drag for short, who can replace one of their attacks with an exhalation in a 30-foot line or 20-foot cone of magical energy. Each creature in that area needs to make a dex save, taking damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die on a fail save or half as much on a success. The damage can be any elemental damage type, and the damage increases to 3 rolls of your martial arts die upon reaching level 11. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus for free every day, and then you can do it again by spending 2 focus points. This is kind of awesome. Sure, 2d6 AoE damage doesn't sound huge, but it's 3d12 by the end of the game, and it replaces only one of your attacks. Ass Drags also get some roleplay features at 3rd level, letting you re-roll a failed intimidation or persuasion check, giving you the ability to speak Draconic, and you can swap the damage of your unarmed strikes to an elemental damage type instead. Level 6 gets you Wings Unfurled. When you use your Step of the Wind as a bonus action, you can also fly until the end of that turn. You gain this ability a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. Honestly, Ass Drags got stiffed here. Genie Warlocks get 10 minutes of flight as a bonus action the same number of times per day at this same level in a subclass from this same book. Just let the Dragon Monks fly, man. 3 turns of flight per day is just not cutting it. Especially as you have to use Step of the Wind to access this, which means you're not using your Flurry of Blows, so you're giving up a lot of damage. Aspect of the Worm at 11th level is another bonus action feature, giving you a 10-foot aura of magical power for 1 minute. When you activate it, you get 2 options. The first is to give yourself and any allies in that aura resistance to one of these damage types. That's not bad. Or you can use a bonus action each turn to attempt to frighten one creature in the aura if they fail a Wisdom saving throw. That one is kind of trash. You're giving up 3 attacks with Flurry of Blows to possibly frighten one creature who has to be standing basically right next to you. And it feels like at least half of the high CR creatures in this game are immune to being frightened anyway. Finally, you get Ascendant Aspect at 17th level. It gives you blind sight out to 10 feet, which is kinda cute. It also buffs your aspect of the worm aura, so when you activate it, you can deal 3d10 damage to creatures of your choice within 10 feet of you. Finally, when you use your Breath of the Dragon, you can increase the range and deal 4d12 damage with it when you drop an additional focus point to do so. Again, this is really good because it's only taking you one normal attack to do this. The Dragon Monk is cool, and it's almost fantastic. Really, it's the Breath weapon feature which is carrying the whole thing, but it is a good feature. Ass drags are solid beating.
Hey DM, Whoa! What are you doing? I'm summoning an eldritch being to attack the neighbor's kids. They said I was bald. Can you believe that? Wow, that's crazy. And summon! Oh yeah, he's perfect. Wow, you made that? How did you get this power? Oh, it's all from Enshrined, the ultimate Eldritch Horror 5e expansion. Okay, lassie, go get the neighbor's kids. We'll show them who's bald. Dang, that book is messed up. Where do I get one? Enshrined is an incredible eldritch horror setting for D&D 5e out now on Kickstarter. Complete with a new player class, an alchemy and potion crafting system, new weapon and armor crafting, and over 10 new terrifying subclasses. Plus eldritch boss encounters, over 40 new monsters, 15 new multi-turn spells, and over 8 new player species. This is a gargantuan expansion to infuse true terror into your stories. And everyone who backs using my link in the description gets a free mini added to their order. Enshrined is already funded, but there's still plenty of epic stretch goals to unlock. Check it out and grab your free mini today on Kickstarter. Link in description.
Drunken Master Monk. This is a fun one. You start with proficiency in performance, which is kind of whatever, but you get an upgrade to your flurry of blows, letting you automatically disengage when you use it, and your movement speed increases by 10 feet. This makes you a terrific kiting monk, letting you run in, bop an enemy on the butt, and run out again with impunity. Level 6, you can stand up from prone with only 5 feet of movement, and you can redirect attacks. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend a focus point to redirect that attack to another target within 5 feet of you other than the attacker. This is obviously hilarious if you can get it to work. It is situational, but oof, making enemies hit each other is Level 11 lets you drop 2 focus points to remove disadvantage from any D20 test. Sure, it is a bit pricey, but combined with the core Monk's Disciplined Survivor feature, you are probably the best character in the game for making saving throws as long as you have the resources to do so. Finally, level 17 lets you make 3 additional attacks every time you use your flurry of blows, but every attack as part of that flurry must target a different creature. This doesn't sound great until you remember that your 3rd level feature lets you disengage for free and increases your movement. Basically, you are running around the battlefield slapping everyone. As long as enemies are relatively close together, you can comfortably get off like 8 attacks per turn with this feature. Sure, the class is a little bit unfocused, but hell, it's a Drunken Master Monk. They probably would be. The stars really need to align to maximize the value of your deflect attacks and your final flurry of blows, but it's gonna feel amazing when it happens. The whole thing is also very simple to use and therefore great for beginners. It's solid B tier. Elements Monk. The 4 Elements Monk probably received the biggest glow up of anything in this game from 2014 to 2024. They took one of the worst subclasses in the game and turned it into this monstrosity. Level 3. At the start of your turn, you can drop a focus point to imbue yourself with elemental energy for 10 minutes. In that time, your reach is increased by 10 feet and you can deal elemental damage instead of bludgeoning damage when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, and when you do hit a creature, you can move them 10 feet towards or away from you if they fail a strength saving throw. That triggers on every attack, so you can move a target up to 60 feet in a single turn by the end of the game. Honestly, this whole thing is sort of like the Astral Arms feature from the Astral Monk, but better because it doesn't require a bonus action to activate, and your reach is even greater. You also get the Elementalism cantrip, which is fine, I guess. Level 6 6, you can drop a magic action and 2 focus points to blow up a 20 radius sphere at a point within 120 feet of you. Creatures in that area make a dex save, taking 3 rolls of your martial arts die on a failed save or half as much on a success. AoE is nice for the monk, and the range is better than the Dragon Monk's breath weapon, but you get no free uses and it requires an entire action to do. It's nice, but nothing crazy. Level 11, you get a flying speed and a swimming speed while your elemental attunement is active. Drag monks are in shambles, and at level 17, you get elemental epitome. While your elemental attunement is on, you resist one of these damage types and you can change your choice at the start of each of your turns. You also deal an extra d12 once per turn when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, which is another feature borrowed from the Astral Monk. Finally, when you use your Step of the Wind, your speed increases by 20 feet, and any creature you move within 5 feet of takes 1d12 elemental damage. No saving throw, no action required. So yeah, the Elements Monk basically grabs a bunch of other classes' features and makes them way better. It is probably the most powerful monk subclass at every tier of play in the game, to the point that it sort of makes other choices a little redundant. It is definitely S tier. Kensei Monk. Poor Kensei monks got a little beaten up back in 2021 when Tasha's Cauldron of Everything came out. That book included a patch to monks, which let them use any weapon they're proficient with as a monk weapon, as long as it doesn't have the heavy or special properties. Why is this bad for Kensei? Well, because their 3rd level feature is literally just that. So the defining Kensei monk feature is no longer defining, but don't worry, there are other benefits to being a Kensei. For a start, they are the only monk that gets a special exception allowing them to use longbows as monk weapons, and longbow is the best ranged weapon for a multi-attacking build. You can also use a bonus action on your turn to empower all ranged attacks you make that turn with an extra 1d4 damage. Sure, this isn't as powerful as rocking a flurry of blows, but it gives you something useful to do to bump your damage even when fighting at range. Finally, when you make an unarmed strike on your turn while holding a Kensei weapon, like when you use a flurry of blows, you get a +2 to your AC until the start of your next turn. Level 6, your weapon attacks count as magical, although I would hope you'd be getting a magic weapon around this time anyway, and you can drop a focus point on your turn to deal extra damage with a Kensei weapon equal to a roll of your martial arts die. Level 11 is a really cool one. As a bonus action, you can infuse a Kensei weapon with up to 3 focus points. Then, for the next minute, you get a bonus to all attack rolls and damage rolls with that weapon equal to the number of focus points you expended. A +3 weapon at level 11 is pretty radical. Finally, at level 17, when you miss with a weapon attack, you can re-roll it. It's kind of bad, it's boring. The Kensei was the OG weapon-wielding monk, and they are still great at that. It is still the best archery monk out there if you want to go that way, with their +3 longbow and their extra d4 damage on every hit. And with your high speed, monks make pretty good archers, striking from afar and staying away from trouble. However, the gradual power creep given to monks over the years has resulted in a lot of what makes them special being stripped away. They're not terrible, but they're just sneaking into the very bottom of B tier. Long Death Monk. Way of the Schlong Death Monk has always been criminally underrated. Level 3. Boom. Whenever you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your monk level plus your wisdom modifier. That is frankly a disgusting level of regenerating temporary hit points as long as you keep murdering things. Level 6, Hour of Reaping. You can use an action to cause all creatures within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom save, being frightened of you on a fail. Due to the wording, this affects allies as well, which is funny, but be careful. Honestly, this feature is better than it sounds. It doesn't cost focus points, and mass frighten effects can be very powerful for locking enemies down so they can't move towards you. Also, there's no limit on this, so you can do it every round if it's working for you. Level 11. Anytime you fall to 0 hit points, you can use 1 focus point to fall to 1 hit point instead. No action required, and there is no limit on this feature either. As long as you have focus points, you will never die. And being on 1 hit point isn't nearly as scary as it sounds, because you're only 1 murder away from gaining 15 temporary HP. Finally, level 17 lets you use an action to touch a creature and expend 1 to 10 focus points. That creature then makes a con save, taking 2d10 damage for every focus point you expended, half as much on a success. 1 action for 20d10 necrotic damage is huge. That is big damage, no lie. I mean, even if the target passes their save, they're still getting hit for 55 damage on average. The Way of the Schlong Death is one of the simplest monks to play out there, but it still manages to be powerful and unique. Honestly, I really recommend this one for beginners. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I put it in A tier. Mercy Monk. Mercy Monks are so called because you'll be begging for some after they rip your spine out your neck. Level 3. A focus point lets you deal additional necrotic damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die when you hit with an unarmed strike. Not bad. You can also spend a focus point as an action to touch a creature and restore hit points equal to a roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. It's fine healing in a pinch, but you can also replace one of your attacks when you flurry of blows to use this without expending an additional focus point. Long Death Monks can buff themselves with big temp HP fairly often, but Mercy Monks can heal anyone while doing the exact thing they would be doing anyway. Level 6. When you use your Hands of Harm to deal extra necrotic damage to a creature, that target is also poisoned until the end of your next turn. No saving throw, they just have disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks. Disgusting. Hands of Healing can now also end any of these conditions affecting the target as well. Level 11 removes the focus point requirement to use your Hands of Harm, so you're now just dealing extra damage and poisoning a creature every turn for free. Also, you can now heal on every strike of your Flurry of Blows if you need to. That is up to 3d10 plus 15 bonus action healing every round. Finally, level 17 lets you use a magic action to restore a creature to life with a bunch of hit points and remove any negative conditions affecting them, if any. If you're missing a dedicated healer in the party, the Mercy Monk can absolutely fulfill that role. It's honestly kind of unfair they get to be this horrific, poisonous striker damage dealer on top. Sure, they are still less blatantly power crept than the Elements Monk, but they're still more than good enough to earn a place in S tier. Open Hand Monk. Open Hand Monks are the most monks there are. Your 3rd level Open Hand feature upgrades your Flurry of Blows, letting you do one of the following anytime you hit with an unarmed strike while flurrying. The target can't make opportunity attacks, they have to make a strength save or be pushed 15 feet, they have to make a dex save or fall prone. Now here's the thing, there's no limit on this, so you can do 2 of these each turn if you hit with your Flurry of Blows, or all 3 when you reach level 10. Or you can do the same one 3 times to push an enemy up to 45 feet away from level 10 if they keep failing their strength saves. Level 6, you get some healing. Bonus action, roll your martial arts die and regain hit points equal to the total plus your wisdom modifier. Honestly, this is just worse than what Mercy Monks get, and Long Death Monks will be way tankier with their regenerating temporary hit points. Plus, your Flurry of Blows just got upgraded. You want to be using that every turn, not wasting time on this. Level 11 lets you use your Step of the Wind feature for free anytime you use a bonus action to do anything else. That lets you dash for free, essentially letting you zip around the battlefield and split up your Flurry of Blows. And remember, one of your Flurry of Blows options stops enemies from making opportunity attacks against you. Finally, you get Quivering Palm at 17th level. I feel like I've said this before, but the old Quivering Palm was so freaking cool, and I hate that it got downgraded for the 2024 version, but that is the version we're talking about today. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you drop 4 focus points to create imperceptible vibrations within that creature's body. They are harmless unless you replace one attack when you take the attack action to end them. When you do, the target makes a con save, taking 10d12 force damage on a failed save or half as much on a success. Yeah, it's still very cool as a touch of death style feature, and 4 focus points for 10d12 damage is above the rate that the Long Death Monk gets with their similar Death Strike feature. All in, Open Hand Monk rewards you for all the monk things you'd be doing anyway. The level 6 bonus action healing is a little bit of a dud, but the rest is fantastic. This is another subclass which is great for beginners, and it is comfortably A tier. Shadow Monk. Competing with Long Death Monks for the Edgelord title, Shadow Monk's big feature is Shadow Arts at level 3, letting you cast the Darkness spell for 1 focus point without spell components. You can see within the spell's area when you cast it, and you can move that area 60 feet at the start of each one of your turns. Now, Darkness is a nasty spell when you're the only person who can see through it. It effectively blinds all your enemies, giving you advantage on attacks against them. They can't take opportunity attacks against against you, their attacks against you have disadvantage, and a bunch of spells which require line of sight can't be cast. This alone makes Shadow Monk incredibly powerful. The only thing you've got to be careful is that that darkness doesn't hamper your allies as much as it harms your enemies. But in a party built around this feature, it is insane. A warlock with Devil's Sight and a fighter with blind fighting, and suddenly your party is disgusting. You also get regular old dark vision out to 60 feet, and you know the minor illusion cantrip, which is a great cantrip. Level 6. While within dim light or darkness, you can use a bonus action to teleport to another area of dim light or darkness, and grant yourself advantage on the next melee attack you make. Of course, if you're in your darkness, you're gonna have advantage anyway 99% of the time, and we'd always rather use our bonus action to attack rather than position ourselves, but teleportation is rarely a bad feature in this game. It gets better at level 11 too, where you can drop a focus point when you do it to teleport anywhere, regardless of light conditions, and make a single melee attack as part of that same bonus action. Finally, level 17 lets you take an action and 3 focus points while in dim light or darkness to cloak yourself in shadow and become invisible for 1 minute or until you end your turn in bright light. While in this form, you can move through occupied spaces as though they were difficult terrain, but you can't end your turn there, and you can use your flurry of blows without expending a focus point. This is okay, but it's worth remembering that while you're in your darkness spell, you're effectively invisible for 95% of the creatures in the game anyway. And creatures who can see you through that darkness with features like Tremor Sense and Blind Sight will be able to see through this invisibility as well. So although this sounds like a combat feature, it actually kind of shines outside of combat for stealth and exploration a little more. Now, the Shadow Monk is very complicated. You need to be absolutely on top of your positioning and your party dynamics to make the most of the darkness spell. If you can do that, you are terrifying. Yes, it is a shame that it takes a whole action to set the darkness up. This monk can feel like it takes a little time to get going in combat, but the rewards are fantastic. Wouldn't recommend this subclass for beginners, but these baddies are A tier. Sun Soul Monk. Last and least, we get to the Laser Beam Monk. Your core feature is the Radiant Sun Bolt, which is a single target laser beam which uses your martial arts die for damage and has a range of 30 feet. You can also spend a focus point to attack with it again after taking the attack action as a bonus action. Essentially, you are a ranged monk without weapons. An extra attack as a bonus action isn't bad, but you are giving up the 2 extra attacks you'd get with Flurry of Blows for the advantage of being out of harm's way. However, you're not that far out of harm's way. 30 feet is low for a ranged attack, and plenty of other monk subclasses have options to attack enemies in melee range and then retreat with impunity if you're trying to stay away from enemies. Level 6 is kind of cool. After you take the attack action, you can expend 2 focus points to cast Burning Hands as a bonus action that turn. You can also pump more focus points into the spell, raising the damage by 1d6 for each additional focus point spent. AoE damage is nice on a monk, but the focus point investment is heavy. It also requires you to get very close to your enemies. It's only a 15-foot cone, and you want to get at least 2 enemies in the range for this to really be worth it. Level 11 is similar to the Elements Monk level 6 feature. You use your action to create an explosion in a 20-foot sphere at a point within 120 feet of you. It only deals 2d6 radiant damage, but you can burn additional focus points into it, to a maximum of 3, to raise the damage by 2d6 for each one. An 8d6 AoE for only 3 focus points is actually pretty fantastic. If you just want to build a fireball flinging monk who just drops their action every turn to blow stuff up, you could do a lot worse. Finally, at level 17, you can shed bright light in a 30-foot radius and use a reaction to deal 10 damage to a creature that hits you with a melee attack. This is trash, honestly, seeing as the whole point of this subclass is to stay away from enemies and attack at range. It's rarely going to trigger, and even when it does, 10 damage at level 17 is not good. Now, I'll give this to Sun Soul Monks. There is no other monk subclass quite like it. Really, it's the 11th level fireball spam that gives you a reason to celebrate. Everything else they do is kind of underpowered, and it requires you sacrificing a lot of wonderful core monk subclasses to do the playstyle this build is trying to do. You won't be using Stunning Strike or Flurry of Blows very often when you run this fella, but if you're dropping a fireball every turn, who cares? That ability alone gives them just enough of a niche to creep into the C tier. I wouldn't recommend them, but if you're doing a high level one-shot and you can jump into the game at level 11 plus, yeah, I think it could be a really fun and unpredictable build. And if you're still hungry for subclasses, I create D&D expansions every month and release them on Patreon to supporters of this channel. There's free stuff there right now you can go and check out, and every supporter is incredibly valuable. I donate 50% of all YouTube ad revenue to charity, and I'm only able to do that thanks to your support on Patreon and through YouTube memberships. Your support makes the channel possible. Check it out at the link below. Also remember to like and subscribe, check out other videos on the channel, and yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you next time.